Hey everyone, it's the Dr. Jason West and the West Clinic program, and tonight we are going to be going over some really neat stuff. It is all about the energy deficit, and we specifically want to talk about bursting with energy, and it's something that's really fun to talk about because I think it has absolutely the keys to health. And so I just really was excited to share that with people and to get in and really figure out, one, what can you do about it at home? What are some advanced treatments that are available about bursting with energy? And why, if you have the cells healthy, when you have cells that are full of energy, then you're going to be healthy and I'm going to be healthy. And so there's some really neat advanced ways to do that. So again, our program tonight is all about bursting with energy. And we're going to talk about how old you are and then how really old you are, because there's a difference between, and a shout out to my friend Shirley Clark, who always tells me, look, it's as old as you think you are. And Shirley, you're exactly right. So that is all about, the difference between a 100-year-old and a 40-year-old. We're going to talk about that. And then also we're going over some specific question answer periods in our Thriver program tonight that I'm really excited about. And I'm excited because of how the program is going. If you would like to know how to get inside and get specific question and answer periods doing virtual office visits, you can just go to this link, West Clinic, thewestclinic.com. And then what happens is you can talk to one of our team members. We have some incredible breakthroughs as far as payments and payment plans and some other things. But to virtual office visits every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. And I've got a bunch of questions and stuff that we're going to go over, onboarding custom formulations. But anyway, let's go to the discussion of energy boosters and how to get bursting with energy and what happens when you run out of energy. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons of why so many people have hormone problems. And it's because their body runs out of energy. And then what occurs is they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They go over to their thyroid or they go over to their adrenal glands and they start pulling energy out of there. And guess what happens? The adrenal glands get really tired from chronic output and chronic stress patterns. And then the thyroid goes and then all we're wearing out all of these glands, and it's all about energy. So I think that's one of the reasons why there's so many hormone deficits that are happening, and then what it does to your immune system. So we're talking tonight, energy deficits. We're going to go over what to do about it. We're going to do what you can do at home about it, some advanced treatment considerations, and again, it's all about bursting with energy. So you guys, let's get right to it. I put this presentation together. This is kind of going to be fun to review and go over because the biggest cause of energy deficits, I think, is this. And I got to get my mouse lined up. There we go. It's stress. Now, I got to get rid of the banner here because I think this is kind of funny. What is stress? Sitting in an 8-meter sea kayak watching a 4-meter great white approaching you. And so you can see this guy in the boat. If this was me, like there would be no concerns about being in the water and having something happen, because I would die before I get in the water. I'd have a heart attack. But this is a classic example of stress. So let's review this, because if you go outside and you see a bear or a snake or a tarantula or something, what happens? Your breathing goes up, your pupils constrict, your blood pressure goes up, you get filled full of that fight or flight response. And so what's going to happen when you do that is the body's like going to redirect energy and resources that were meant for the stomach, and they're going to put it over where? They're going to put it in your muscles and everything else. This is why chronic stress problems wear out your stomach. You don't want to be running away from a bear or a snake and all of a sudden having, like, I got to go to the bathroom, time out. Like, that doesn't happen. And so we continually hit stress patterns and stress outlets. Like, that's one thing that happens. The other thing is, again, bursting with energy is age factor. Now, this is so fascinating to review with people because sometimes in our discussions, I get some really interesting questions to this comment. And the comment that I tell them is this: like, what would you like to see happen in this relationship, the doctor-patient working relationship? And so many times people will say to me, I want to be 18 again. And they're in their 60s or 70s. And I jokingly tell them, look, like, I'm good, but I only have 2 O's in my name, not one. I'm good. I'm not God. And we kind of have a chuckle about that. And I said, well, some of the reasons why people have excessive aging is because of the electron transport chain. And I'm going to talk to you about what that means. But how old are you really? So no matter how many candles your friends stick on your birthday cake, your function is your biologic age and then your functional age. So what does that mean? I was born in 72. I'm 48 years old, or I'll turn 48 this, let's see, I'm almost 49 years old, and there's all these candles on the cake. But in my mind, I feel 20 years old. And one of the reasons why is I really, really push the energy in my life. And there's some people, like, you meet them and you're like, I can't believe that they are 80 years old. Other times you meet people that are 30 and you say, I can't believe that they're not 80. So looking at the real age, if you're 90 years old and you produce energy like a 40-year-old, you're essentially 40 years old. And we've all met people like this that seem to be like the Energizer Bunny, and they go and they go and they go, and that's what's happening. And so the reason why is they're efficient at creating energy. So according to one of my heroes, Dr. Klatz, he says that 50% of baby boomers, today can celebrate their 100th birthday. Like, we have a generation of people that literally is going to live longer than any other generation in the history of the world. And we want to know, are you going to be celebrating with them, or what is your quality of life being? I mean, sometimes it may not be worth living. I've seen patients like that, and I've read stories, and I know people that have really, really kind of died an inch at a time. And I don't think that that's really what everybody's signing up for. But at the same time, when people say, can this prevent me from dying? And the answer is like, no. But I will tell you this: we all want to die as healthy and as slow as possible. That's the goal. So low energy is the root of every disease and aging symptom, from fatigue to heart disease, from cancer, obesity, and optimizing the production of energy is the key to feeling better. And there's two really important ways to do it, you guys. The first one is to make sure that we get oxygen in the system. We're going to go through this pathway in just a minute, and that we get electrons in the system. So let me just go through that. So by the way, a way to preserve and help to recharge electrons is sleep and rest and having a stress outlet. Like, that's one way to do it. The other way to do this is to make sure that we're getting electrons in the system. So that's healthy and alive food, particularly vitamin C. Vitamin C donates electrons to the body, like recharges it. Vitamin B6 helps to recharge the vitamin C that's in your system. And then also, what prevents aging is basically what happens as glucose hits the cellular level and goes through the breakdown of energy, and what are the byproducts. So when you have oxygen in your system, the byproducts is energy and carbon dioxide and water. If you don't have enough oxygen in your system, you know what the byproducts are? It's lactic acid and pyruvate. It's the same thing like when you're going to the gym. If I go to the gym and I decide I'm going to max out on the weights, and I'm on the bench press, and I go, and first couple ones I can do, and then what happens is I'm going to use up my oxygen stores. And then my body is going to go from efficient energy production, which is aerobic glycolysis, to inefficient, which is anaerobic glycolysis. So instead of creating 36 molecules of energy, I create 4. The byproducts are lactic acid. My muscles start getting really, really sore. Well, you guys, here's some sympathy or empathy for people that have myalgic encephalopathy, which is chronic fatigue syndrome, or they have fibromyalgia, or they have polymyalgia rheumatica. There's some other muscle conditions associated with it where they're not efficient in getting rid of waste products. And what do they feel like? They feel like a normal person that's gone and worked themselves really hard at the gym, and they have that lactic acid buildup. By the way, you know what makes lactic acid go away? It's the function of oxygen and time. So if you're not used to an activity and you go to the gym and you do this exercise, or you go and do some type of physical work that you're not used to, what's going to happen is your body uses up the oxygen stores, you start making acid, the muscles get sore the next day or 2 or 3, and hopefully you're efficient in getting rid of those waste products. That's better. But what happens is, as the oxygen levels are repaired inside of the body, what occurs is that the soreness goes away. So that's the difference between someone that has, fibromyalgia or myalgic encephalopathy, that's a new terminology for it, and someone that doesn't, is that ability to restore oxygen levels. This is why oxidative medicine is absolutely vital in people that have muscle hurts and aches and pains all the time. So this low energy thing, I agree with Dr. Schellenberg. Like, this is one of the greatest thought leaders inside of functional medicine. I'm happy to call him a friend and a mentor, and he's taught me so much about how to get people healthy by fixing the energy levels. So you don't have low energy because you age because you have low energy. So particularly with people that like to look in the mirror and look good, which I think all of us have that innate desire to do that, is if you're concerned about wrinkles showing up and gray hair and looking like your mom or dad and all of that stuff, like, we gotta hammer the energy. And here's the way to do that. Okay, the most consistent feature of aging is energy production declines. The difference between a 90-year-old and the difference between a 40-year-old is that the 90-year-old is not efficient in making energy like the 40-year-old because of some things that are happening inside the cellular level. By the way, if you looked at your kids or your grandkids, or you'll see, younger people inside of a social environment, you'll think, how could I bottle some of that energy? Like, I look at my teenage sons. I have a 15-year-old and two 18-year-olds, and they have this incredible untapped resource of energy. And the reason why is because they're more efficient at creating energy than I am. Now, I think I have a great motor. Like, I love to work. I do a whole bunch of stuff that probably most 48, 49-year-olds do. Now, I'm absolutely religious about generating energy, but that's the difference. So let's go through and let's reverse engineer this. Inside of the energy production, it decreases before you sign symptoms. So it's one of those things where all of a sudden you look down at your gas gauge and it's empty. It's almost like hey, I'm having pretty good energy, and today I don't have any energy. And so it's one of those things where you got to consistently put the effort in, and you got to do it before you have symptoms. And let me just tell you this, like, if you're having aging symptoms now, like, start working on this. So you're having fatigue levels, you can turn the bus around. We do this on a consistent basis. I'm so excited to see this experience that's happening with John right now. John's coming from the East Coast to the office. And what is occurring is he hasn't felt good for a long time. And as he is putting stuff together, we're putting the energy levels back into his system, things are really, really going well. And it's the same thing. Like, if you have a chronic disease problem, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's dementia or Lyme disease or peripheral neuropathy, or you're looking for options for cancer support, arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, it doesn't matter what it is. If you fix the cellular level and you improve that, then things are going to get a lot better. So the implications of the simple observation, like, it's all about energy, it's the cells. And that's why it's so fun to talk to people. And when they call the office, they'll say, can you help this condition, X or Y or Z condition? So the conditions that don't apply initially, like obviously the emergency thing where you have a heart attack or you have a compound fracture or baby delivered, like, that's not what I'm talking about. That's a different type of healthcare. But everything else, if you improve energy, if there's athletes that are listening to me right now, if you improve the energy levels, the electron levels and the oxygen, it gives you a competitive advantage. If you're going into a grad school, if you want to memorize things, if you're worried about your brain fog, we got to start at the cellular level and improve the energy. Okay, so let's kind of break this down and look at a couple different things. And one, I'm excited about this slide because ATP is the energy units of the body, and it's a mineral that almost no one talks about in healthcare. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. Basically, it's a protein molecule with 3 minerals associated in it, 3 phosphate molecules. Now, a lot of people in my area in the agricultural world are aware of phosphate because it's a soil fertilizer. So it makes it so that plants can grow. But guess what? We're a biological entity as well. And so many things, so many minerals and recommendations that I see online and when people bring in, they forget about phosphate. Phosphate is absolutely one of the funnest things that you can give people because it restores energy. It's really good to help if you have sticky blood. It helps the blood to disassociate or basically break up. It's kind of like when you take your wash out of the washer and you put it in the dryer. If you don't add a cling-free sheet, the clothes stick together. Well, if your blood doesn't have the right minerals in it, it sticks together too. And phosphorus is so good for getting to spread out. It creates energy in the body. I've seen some really good outcomes with sticky things. Cataracts is one. Also is the tartar on your teeth. I've seen some really good outcomes with chronic teeth problems and bad breath and everything like that from phosphorus. And by the way, you guys, I'm going to show you the best way to get phosphorus inside of this presentation. It's not even expensive. Now, for people that are inside of our Thrivers program, this is always something that I put inside every single formula when we custom formulate. But I will also say that for people that aren't inside our Thrivers program, I'm going to show you where the best, most cost-effective way to do that, which, by the way, I got to get just a link here. If you're watching this and you're wondering what I'm talking about, we have a Thrivers program that you can just click on this link below. But let's go back here. Adenosine triphosphate, monophosphate. So you have 3 molecules of energy, and then you have 2 molecules of energy, and then you want to have 1 molecule of energy. And these powerhouses inside the cell, called the mitochondria, generate ATP if they have minerals and if they have, glucose of these vitamins. And when you get those balanced, like, you get miracles. Okay. The other component is oxygen. So we have a food component, and now we have an oxygen component. And this is so important why oxygen is critical for life and anti-aging and cellular recovery. And that's why we have what's called the Otto Warburg principle in cancer, is when you have enough oxygen, that's easier to take care of. And by the way, that's never easy, but it can improvement. Otto Warburg won the Nobel Peace Prize, one of the amazing thought leaders of his time. The Otto Warburg effect. It also helps you to not age and have sore muscles. So ATP, and you get this lactic acid. Apparently it's from a new exercise, but when you have oxygen inside of your body, you get 36 molecules of ATP is generated, and you don't get the acid buildup. This is why people, when they're exercising consistently, they have they have more stamina and bigger capacity to do things because of the oxygen levels. Without oxygen, energy cannot be produced in adequate amounts. And guess what? We set up a bad banking system in our body. And let me tell you what that means. Like, if we have energy that's in our system, and then what happens is we use up the energy, and if we're not replacing it with vitamin C and your vitamins and minerals and your oxygen, what happens is we'll run over to the muscles and we'll rob the energy from the muscles. We'll rob it from the thyroid. We'll rob it from the adrenal gland. We'll tax the pituitary gland, and then the androgen glands, which are the ovaries, and the testes and stuff, stop working. Like, it's this slippery slope. Poor dietary choices robs oxygen levels. And there's a statement that my dad would always say, and for you guys that don't know me, my dad, I'm totally biased. What a wonderful physician and healer. And he would always ask people, if you are what you eat, are you fast, cheap, and easy? And so many times people are like, I'm just in a hurry, so I ran into the convenience store and I grabbed this breakfast sandwich or a burrito that's been sitting in this, heat oven, or I grabbed some fast food. And by the way, I just think that is creating unhealthy problems later on. And the sugar handling, so we have what's called the Neuroglycopenia Index. And I love this statement. This is so much more accurate than hypoglycemia. So hypoglycemia means low blood sugar. But neutropenia, it kind of means the same thing, but it's new kind of a way to describe it. And I think it works better. Because if you're not handling sugar accurately, now glucose is what starts driving energy into the cell level. And there's different places where you can get glucose. But because chronic stress, they're not creating the brain cell. This is what I think is happening. They're not creating the brain cells, and we have this hormone. And by the way, stress, a little bit of stress every once in a while, I think it's healthy for you. But chronic stress problems, cortisol, which is released by your adrenal glands, knocks down your ability to live. This is so important to handle. So sleep allows that to rejuvenate the cortisone levels, the hippocampus resets. When they get the mice and the rats after a time period. And it took about 2 weeks. So any college students out there, when you're like cramming for exam and you pull an all-nighter, it takes 2 weeks for your brain to catch up. People that are struggling with insomnia and sleeplessness, and they'll say, I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock and then I wake up at 2 o'clock, and some others, like, it's really having an effect on you. Like, we want to try and unlock this puzzle and get you better sleep, because it's killing brain cells. The studies underscore why sleep is so important for fundamental health problems. Missing, like having a night, I think it's less than 4 hours of sleep, is the equivalent of functioning in an inebriated or drunk state. Okay, we have a report that we put out called 29 Secrets to a Good Night's Sleep. Dietary considerations. There's a really neat way to score your Neuroglycopenia Index. If you don't think that sugar is a factor, I want you to be aware of that. Nancy Appleton wrote a book called 108 Ways Sugar Ruins Your Health. And I absolutely highly recommend. This is just a wonderful, wonderful book. Okay, everyone has stress. It's how we deal with it that's so important. Self-communication, talking to yourself, journaling, I think are two of amazing ways. Meditation, prayer, listening to music, playing musical instruments, gardening, exercise, walking. I had a patient tell me today, like, the best thing I can do is I can get in my car and I just like to drive. I go around the city and county. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. For me, like, I really like dirt bikes. That's my thing. And my wife says, why do you like to do that? And I'm like, well, it's kind of important because, it gives me life. Okay, yoga, prayer, meditation are all good. B vitamins, GABA is really good. So as a natural supplement to help you manage stress, GABA aminobutyric acid, GABA, is one of my favorite things that I can recommend people. The relationship vampires. And again, this is easy to say and hard to do. People who get sucked the energy of others are called relationship vampires. This sucking takes place when you get around people and they steal your energy, and it's usually a state of survival of the energy vampire. So, like, I have a lot of empathy over there, but there are patients that I know that and a lot of them I don't have very good relationships with initially, and they're so deficient. And I don't know if you've experienced this with people where you'll have an interaction with them and you walk away and you feel exhausted. It's because that person is just desperate. They literally can pull energy into it. It's not unusual for a person that is physically ill to have emotional, like, stress and tries to draw or deplete energized individuals into their life force. Now, so many times in traditional medicine, they don't do that. Like, they don't pay attention to energy, whether it's acupuncture or relationships or hormone. I mean, that's another discussion, but this happens. And I know this happens because I've said it. Other people have told me about it. I've experienced it. And so the suckers are not necessarily bad people. They don't know what they're doing, but their unknowing actions can cause havoc for people. And so this is one of the things that I tell people when they're saying, how can I get healthy? Remember, we have a plate of problems right here on our plate. Like, this is stuff that we can do, and this is we control. Don't allow people to put stuff on your plate. This is basically being able to stand up for yourself and say no and give you some parameters. And I don't know exactly, like, I'm not trying to encourage you to be a narcissistic or selfish person, but I'm just saying, look, you have enough to deal with. Don't let other people put stuff on there. It's important for us to be aware of it, and the harm and the psychic, like the component attacks, is sometimes not worth it. You just have to be careful with those parameters. Okay, so let's start talking about how to stay young. Vitamin considerations. I love this thing called Nitrous Oxide Healing Factor. I'm going to show you where to get that. Deep C is liposomal vitamin C. Niacin. I love niacin. It fights superbugs. It cleans out your liver. It flushes your vascular system. It's really an important immune system stimulator. Fantastic. And by the way, you want the niacin that makes you flush, not the time-release niacin. CoQ10 helps to generate muscle in your muscle fibers and in your heart. Alpha-lipoic acid cleans off the cells. And then GPC, I love glycerol phosphocholine because it's pure brain food. Will absolutely help your brain to function. Then there's an advanced treatment where you can do an IV treatment. You pull blood outside of the body. You can oxygenate it and then put it back into the system. It's an advanced German treatment and insufflation therapy. I think that there's some oxygen enemas that are really important for consideration. And And people say, well, it's kind of uncomfortable to talk about. Okay, well, it doesn't mean that there's not a place for it. It's just sometimes people get really uncomfortable talking about rectal and colon health. And then, of course, hyperbaric oxygen thing. Okay, what you can do at home, you guys, for energy. Get your body on a schedule. Try as best possible to go to bed at the same time, get up at the time down, eat at the same time, exercise. I think putting order in the system is so important. Stress management and movement. Movement, also known as exercise. And yes, there's people that can go to the extremes of movement, and you can do that. And then be careful of the fake energy boosters. Fake energy boosters, energy drinks, soda pop. Sometimes the energy protein bars that are masqueraded as health food can give you a false sense of energy. And then what happens is, like, there's always, the piper always has to be paid. If you write a check, it always is going to eventually be cashed. And this is why I tell people, look, let's get everything balanced in harmony. And then let's get away from the 5-hour energies or the energy drinks. Okay. All right, you guys, I wanted to show you real quick a different a way to access some of these things the most cost-effective way possible. So let me just pull up this website so I can show you. If you're looking for phosphorus, if you're looking for vitamin C, and you're not a part of our Thrivers program, like, there's some neat ways for you to get this. So let me go in, and we are going to stop the share. I got to share the screen. I got to go into the application window. All right, here we go. All right, so let me show you the ways that I know and trust. Now, there's a lot of very good supplement companies that are out there. I don't know all of them, and I don't know everything, but I can tell you, for 21 years of being in the trenches, like, I just try and use the best stuff available. So if you need a good source, you can go over to the West Clinic store. Let me get this over here. And in the West Clinic store, you just go into what's called shop. Man, yeah, I'm having all kinds of, here we go. You go into shop at the top, and it takes you to the store. I'll show you guys how to get in the system and get immediate help if you need it. So we go into the shop component, and then it comes up to the store. And then there's two ways to go forward. There's kind of the general public way, and then there's also the patient-only supplements. So if you're watching the video, go into the patient-only supplements right here, and it'll ask you for a password. And the password is West Clinic, all one word. And I'm going to show you how to actually do that right here. It's just this right here. And you add the banner. Here we go. Bam, right there. Okay, so there's the password that's sitting right there. And then you come over here and you click continue. Now, inside of this program right here, you have everything that I've talked about. I'm going to show you some of the energy things that are really good for you. And you can go in here and you can click search. Let me see if I can get this. Okay, you go up right here and you click search. And then you can type in whoops, I did it wrong. I misspelled. I promise I can spell. I went to Utah State, and I'm proud of my alma mater, and they taught me how to spell. So anyway, you go in here, you type in, here's the password, you guys, right here. You go to West Clinic, you go shop. Here is how you get into the store. And I can't even find my own products here. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, so one of the things I talk about, electron donations to the body all the time. You can go right in here. This is my favorite electron donor. It's called Deep Sea. And what Deep Sea does is it donates electrons to the body. It's vitamin C powder mixed with a fat. And when it does that, it encloses mycelials inside of that component. It's almost like getting an IV vitamin C. The other one that I see that's really, really good for energy levels is called, let's see, ATP is torch is what it's called, or ATP. Okay, ATP Energy, here it is right here. I love this stuff, you guys. This is that miracle mineral. It's kind of like giving fertilizer to the soil for your plants, except this is what you can give for the body. So this is to help for your body to make ATP. The other one that I like for anti-aging is any type of glutathione is really good. And I think it's in a product called Haven't Aged. Here it is right here. Well, there's a whole bunch of different things. I didn't type that very well. Anyway, glycerylphosphocholine is something that's available on the market. And again, you guys, I don't care where you get it. I just want to help you to get a good source if you don't have one. So I love this stuff. EMC squared, what it does is it helps your brain to function. And then the last one I wanted to share with you guys, you don't need all of them. This may be my favorite one specifically for aging, and this is Nitrous Oxide Healing Factor. And what this does is it gets extra oxygen into your system. So right here is what we want to do. Let me pull this away. There we go. Nitrous Oxide Healing Factor. It's so good for healing. It's got amino acids in it. It's really good for blood pressure. It helps men with male health. This is one of my other applications I use. If you need a source, here's a great source. But let me just summarize. Niacin is really good. Liposomal vitamin C is really good. Nitrous Oxide Healing Factor is really good. There's lots of places that you can get it. These are just some of the things that I've seen that works inside the system. Now, that is the program today. It's all about how to make you healthy, how to live your best life. It is the Dr. Jason West live program. We do this every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. And if you're part of our Thrivers program, if you'd like more information, you can go here. We are going into that exclusive question answer period with my Thriver program at 7 o'clock. We're going to go over questions. It's a virtual office visit every week, and I'm going to be able to interact with people in a specific way on that. I'm thankful everybody's part of the West Clinic community that's seeing this. It's over on our YouTube channel. We'll see you next Wednesday night. We're going to select a topic from our question answer period tonight. Anyway, that's our program. We'll see you guys next week.